Okay, so having picked up Wonder Kung Fu, I believe it was, before we can continue with Operation 001A, we've got another secret mission to do all the way over here in this play area. Now, as you can see, I'm getting onto slightly low health here. As I believe I said before, do not be afraid to use your health items if you've got them. Because the worst possible thing that you can do in the game is let yourself die. And since the health items do not lower your score at all at the end of the game, at the end of the mission, just do it. Death is a far worse thing than just using a health item. Now, as we defeat this secret mission, which I don't know why I'm not doing so well on right now. I should be doing better, but there we go. I should probably point out some of the flaws in the Wonderful 101's gameplay, so that we can get the initial issues out of the way and we can bask in the glory of the rest of the game. So, one of the issues that a lot of people find is the camera. Now, the main issue that people have with it is that it's both too zoomed in and too zoomed out. What I mean by that is that frequently what happens is that it's too zoomed out for you to be able to see your heroes properly and to be able to tell what's going on, but also it's sometimes too zoomed in, which means that you can't see enemies off screen and those enemies will attack you. It's the one criticism mainly that I would definitely level at the Wonderful 101, particularly in an operation later on, which is horrible because of the camera. I mean, it's part of it is kind of... it's a flaw that I don't believe should be there, because it's certainly not there in Bayonetta. Because in Bayonetta, if an enemy was off screen, they didn't attack you unless they had a very, very recognisable audio cue. And even then, you had time to dodge or whatever. And that was in the code, but it's not here, unfortunately. So, here we have a Geathjerk, which is a secret. Also, it's a secret to everybody. Nice little Legend of Zelda reference there, for those of you who know that. I'll go back onto a few more of the issues of the Wonderful 101 in a little bit. But first, we have a Kaku Rhaegar to deal with. Now, these are basically akin to the Alfheims of Bayonetta, in that they are special challenges that give you a very specific thing with a very specific amount of wonderful ones, a limited amount of health, and sometimes time limits, sometimes not. These are very difficult challenges, frequently. Some are certainly more challenging than others, and this is pretty much one of the easier ones. But there are some later on which are horrible. I should also point out that there are a few bottle caps related to the Kaku Rhaegars. You've got one which is basically find them. Well, you've got multiple ones which are find them in each operation, which is pretty easy, all things said and done. Then you have a few which are horrible. So there is Operation Annihilation, I believe it's called, which is basically complete every single secret mission. So that includes every single secret mission in every single Kaku Rhaegar. But that doesn't just mean on one difficulty, that means on every single difficulty in the game. Now, you may think, oh, that's fun, there's only 3 difficulties. No, there are 5. And let's just say that the other 2 are a lot harder than this. And then you also have, I believe it's Geathjerk, May Crying Geth Slayer, or something to that effect, and they're both Devil May Cry references. Now, those are complete all Kakurega, well, complete half Kakurega and complete all of them, which means on every single difficulty. Which, needless to say, is a difficult challenge. I mean, as of when I'm recording the commentary for this, I have beaten the main game, and there is one Kakurega which I am not going to complete, for reasons that you will see when we get there. The thing I'll point out now is that it is just complete and utter evilness. And after quite a while of trying to do it, I just gave up. Not something I normally do on a Platinum game, especially when I love it to pieces, and when I want to do as well as I did in Bayonetta. But the Wonderful 101 is a very different beast. So, having spoken of the Kakuregas, back to some of the issues that people have. One of the things that people sometimes say is that the drawing mechanic is slightly flawed. It's not. You can basically, to do the Unite Morphs, you can either draw stuff on the gamepad, touchscreen, or you can use the right analog stick. I would certainly recommend using the right analog stick, because it's a lot quicker, especially when you get Speedliner from the Wondermart. But it's also much more precise, and the gamepad doesn't quite afford to do that, but also frequently, well, whenever I tried to use the gamepad, I felt I had to look away from the main action, which is a bad idea. It's also why sometimes using items is a bit more difficult than it should be, because I frequently find myself having to look down to be able to make sure that I'm pushing the icon for the item, and because you have to hold it down, it causes a bit of grief. So use the right analog stick, it's far superior, it just requires precision. And if people argue that it doesn't work sometimes, it's because they're not being precise enough in what they're drawing. The worst instance is kind of, there is one Unite Morph that we're going to get a little bit later on, which other Unite Morphs sometimes get confused for, but when I say they get confused, it's that you haven't drawn your shape properly. Another of the issues that people seem to have is the game's variety of things that happen. I'll go into this a little bit more when it actually happens to us, because it's not happening just yet. But you are going to run into some mini-games, per se, that aren't in the vein of the normal mission style, and the frequency of these does frustrate some people. I understand why, it's a totally reasonable thing to get annoyed by, but it's a good variety, I think. And I mean, the other thing is that it's a rather difficult game, and it doesn't also, the game doesn't necessarily tell you how to do things properly, so you frequently have to figure things out for yourself, which modern gamers don't like doing in this day and age, which is really sad. And it's something that I really wish wasn't the case with us, because we've reached the point where we're so kind of spoon-fed by our games and them telling us where to go and how to do things, but we don't figure things out for ourselves anymore. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm about as lazy as the next person and will use guides and stuff to kind of help me proceed and where to collect things and stuff, but in terms of the core kind of gameplay mechanics, I just got myself used to it by myself, and then kind of advanced skills if I wanted it. Also, here you can see an example of the thing is very, very zoomed out, and that hoedown was just off screen, meaning that we couldn't tell what the hell he was doing. Now, I should probably also point out that where that Kaku Rhaegar turned up was where the demo ended, which decent point to end the demo, I have to say. But I've seen people say that they didn't feel that the demo was a very good way of showing the game off, and while true, I've seen a lot worse. Now, as in Bayonetta, you could pick up dropped enemy weapons. Now, I don't feel they are quite as useful here. Well, in a way they're more useful than they were in Bayonetta because they're very powerful and you can force them to drop, because on big enemies the colour of the circle that appears around them when they appear, if you use that to unite more on them, then you will very luckily get the weapon. Whereas in Bayonetta you either had to torture attack or sometimes do other stuff to get it. Now, the reason that I am coming down this road here, which you may be just like, why? Is because there was that rooftop that we couldn't reach earlier. Now, this rooftop annoyed me for ages, and if you don't recognise something that happens a little bit earlier on, is that Unite Hand is invulnerable to fire damage. So basically, if you just use that to get your way up there, then you will get there completely fine, and you will get Wonder Judo, and also a Hero Heart piece. Well, Hero Heart Fragment, I should say. It's very much like the Broken Witch Hearts in Bayonetta, and also the Heart Pieces of Legend of Zelda. So, we've got 2 Legend of Zelda references so far, plus another quite big thing, but I will leave that story of the wonderful 101's inception for another day. Another thing that you're going to see around the game sometimes is things that look like you can, little designs on the floor that you can actually trace, and if you trace them you get items. Sometimes they are Geathjerk files and Wonder files, wonderful figures, sometimes they're just kind of platinum coins and other stuff. Now this right here, this cutscene, was actually in the original trailer for the Wonderful 101 when it was known as Project P1000, and back then the quality of the models was very, very low. They have improved dramatically since that trailer was shown off, but that was one of the earliest things that we saw of the Wonderful 101, which I just find quite awesome. And here we have, I think it was a Dakat. Now, this thing can be slightly annoying in that it will very quickly pull out of your team attack moves, so you've got to try and beat it down rather quickly. But it's not too difficult. But that was actually our final mission for Operation 001A. Now, if you recruit that couple, then you get a bottle cap. Take it out on the other guys. It's just, there are a few cool little things like that throughout the game, which I really do love it for. The puns in the bottle cap names that you will see are brilliant sometimes. But you may be wondering what I'm kind of sticking around for now. Basically, if you send a Wonder Liner up, I believe it's that one, and there may be 1 or 2 more windows that you can send your Wonder Liner up, you can get some goodies. I was just doing a very poor job at finding them. And I am just about to kind of give up. And finish off the operation. So, there is our wonderful platinum ranking. Oh yes, starting off good. Yeah, so we have made it through the starting of the Blossom City outskirts. It's time to just move on through them.